Drug dealers of Reddit, what is the strangest thing you have been offered in compensation for drugs? 401_native says, someone offered me their dog for a $50 bag. They were such a shitty person and a terrible dog owner. You best believe I took that fucking dog and we had 8 glorious years together. Don't tell my current dog, that was the most caring dog I have ever met. I miss the big guy every day. Runs_towards_fire says, my friend would sell his boss weed and then was paid through his paycheck. He thought it was a great deal until I explained that he is now paying income tax on his weed sales. X says, I had a kid write me an essay for To Kill a Mockingbird in high school for a 1/8 of weed. Got an A, gave him an extra bag for it. AskReddit says, former drug dealer here, I used to do it so I could afford to eat while at uni. I once had somebody offer to invite me to Christmas dinner in exchange for some weed. I said yes and I got to enjoy Christmas with him and his family stoned out of our minds. Was an awesome experience, and since I couldn't afford the trip home for Christmas, it turned what would have been a depressing day into one of my all-time favorite memories. The Chaotic Doctor says, I at one point during my time working with the state was informed that a client had offered her children to her cocaine dealer in exchange for more cocaine. Her cocaine dealer was aware she was seeing us for treatment, and proceeded to call us and report the situation. The children were removed from her care. Name deleted says, my dealer in high school would get people, usually gullible freshmen, to give him their $80 minus 120 graphing calculator in exchange for $10 minus 20 worth of weed. This man made a serious profit off those things. We_belong_dead says, my dealer took magic cards back in 94 and 95. Silos_and_siren says, I used to pay with loose change when I was a poor kid. Weed dealer loved it, his job had vending machines, and I supported his snack habit. No Name 310 says, in my younger days before being a parent, I sold weed and ended up fronting a lot out, and then when the people couldn't pay me they would give me iPads, bongs, knives, and one time almost a gun, but I didn't know if it was stolen so I declined. I accepted almost anything that I thought was useful or cool. The strangest thing I got was a $1 t-shirt. It was just $1, but it was folded into a tiny shirt and I thought it was cute, so the kid basically got a gram for $1. I still have it too. Phosphophite says, this was in the 90s. A school near me was going through some major renovations. They were practically going to be built again from the ground up. Anyways, a district administrator tried to trade one of those big outdoor school signs for some cocaine. Name deleted says, I used to hang with an older lady. She was a crackhead. I once saw her dealer offer her a 50 slab for some macaroni jewelry. Her daughter mad for her. She didn't do it. Metahimsa says, not a drug dealer but my drug dealing friend once came into the kitchen of the restaurant while I'm chopping celery or something and he's dragging a big huge black garbage bag behind him. He'd already been to prison once and just got back out apparently. I said, George, is that AF seeking body? He goes, FCK, yeah it is. I gripped the knife a little tighter at that point and looked for the exit. He pulled the garbage back and he had 3 huge Alaskan salmon in there. Some guy didn't have enough cash so he paid him in salmon. Lol. I gutted them, cleaned them, and then George paid me in salmon. It was good salmon. Malbusham says, when I was in middle school, someone stole their grandpa's World War II souvenirs to trade for pot. Friend of mine traded him $30 worth of weed for a 1941 Hitler Youth dagger recovered from one of his grandpa's kills. Birchling says, strangest? I've been offered blowjobs by both sexes, every gift card you can imagine, an iguana, pizza, Jimmy John's, $100 bar tab, computers, and iPads. I guess it's not that strange, but I feel like I should say I never accepted any sexual favors or iguanas. Stupid_question_bot says, back in the 90s when I was selling a lot of meth and ecstasy at raves, I had one dude offer me a gold wedding band for a baggie. I took it and noticed it had some Cyrillic writing on the inside. I took it to a pawn shop I knew that had a Russian owner and he told me it was from a family in Russia that was very connected to the royal family that was murdered during the revolution. I knew the kid, and his parents, and I knew he had stolen it from his mother, who was a child of refugees from the revolution, so I just stuck it in an envelope and mailed it back to them. TPSKSSMRM says, not a drug dealer or user anymore, but once someone offered to trade a box of used children's clothes, a laptop charger, and a single Nike shoe. Seizuresly says, not me, but a guy the first got sober with. Traded a woman a whole bunch of pills for her kids' social security numbers and info, claimed them as dependents on his taxes. Rules for a Bell says, a punch card to a local sandwich shop that had 9 punches and just needed one more for a free sub. Pick Axis says, in a darker period in my life someone once offered to sign the title of their car over to me for a week. I had people wanting to give me gift cards for half of its value. People offering to buy me things from Amazon for half. Coin collections. Jewelry that a magnet wouldn't stick to. Used tires and rims. Lottery tickets. Their girlfriends for one night. But my favorite was a promissory note. Screw all of that. I'm so happy I'm clean now. I don't have to live like that anymore. Lucaditomar says, I dealt small amounts of various drugs in addition to tending bar while in college. One of the Mexican kitchen guys wanted a bunch of ecstasy, $350 United States dollars, and I obtained it for him. When it came time to pay up he said he only had $100 but he'd get the rest to me in a week or so. I was having a Super Bowl party that one had invited everyone to, and a few days later he asks if he could work off the balance by catering the event. I agreed and assumed he would flake, but homeboy showed up 30 minutes early with some of the most fire Tex-Mex food imaginable. Trays upon trays of anything you could think of. It was unreal, and probably cost him more than he owed me. It was a big reason we served Tex-Mex at my wedding, because I knew a guy who could throw down. His catering company did a great job that day, but he did an even better job as one of my groomsmen. Erton_B_Dan says, a girl once offered to show me her boobs for $5 off of her weed. I was 16, I said yes. Worth it. Edgar says, I traded a textbook from a class one took to my dealer for weed when I was in college. He was going to be taking the class the next semester, so it was a win-win for both of us. Fallinglage says, obligatory, I'm not a dealer, but I once traded a shit ton of Adderall for a GTX 1070 graphics card. What is no waste of time, says former. Bags of cans, sex, stolen RX, electronics, bikes, car parts, trendy toys etc. Weirdest thing I ever actually took in trade. Porn movies. Drugs are bought. Disc Golf Soccer says, I had someone else's food stamp card for about a year and a half. I got $120 each month, which I would usually spend on steak and seafood. He got a quarter ounce of weed. I was happy with the arrangement. PM_me_or_panty_color says, my friend in high school got expelled but kept coming back to deliver weed. He was never stopped because teachers were his clients. He ended banging one of the student teachers for a bag. Only reason I know about it is that she came over while we were playing Tony Hawk, and not so sneakily did their thing while I waited in the kitchen. High school was weird, man.